Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is so good to have you with me, and welcome to all of the new subscribers, and thank you so much for all of the lovely comments and messages that you guys have been sending me for my recent videos, specifically the one on how to be happy and single. And it's so heartwarming to hear that what I shared resonated with you and has helped you in some way. And it's also really motivating. It's definitely really motivating to receive comments and messages and likes. So I just wanted to say thank you for all of your support. Today we are going to be talking about 3 tips for overcoming people pleasing. So let's get started. So hands up if you are a serial people pleaser. I know I am, I can admit that, and sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. It really depends on actually how much I am utilizing one of the tips I'm going to be sharing with you today. So I wanted to share this because firstly, I have been through this and I have found these 4 tips really useful, but also because you might find them useful. Of course, there's every possibility that you won't resonate with anything that I say, but you might resonate with some of the tips or all of the tips. So I just wanted to share these and give an opportunity to help other people pleasers out there, which could be my fellow Librans, but it could also be 14/5s in Soul Plan. Sometimes they kind of get lost in trying to be like other people, and sometimes as well with an 11/2, you know, there's very much a journey of who am I with both of those energies. So if you have those energies, this may resonate for you. So obviously let's just talk a little bit about what people pleasing is. Well, firstly, it is basically sacrificing your wants, your needs, your desires, your likes, your interests to place other people's above yours. It's saying that the other person is more important and you are going to do whatever it takes to please them so that you are accepted. And that's usually the root of people pleasing. Might not be for you, but on the whole, with clients that I've worked with and with myself, it's definitely centered around feeling as though you are accepted by other people, that you are not going to be picked on or bullied or criticized, but that people will just leave you alone and you can just have a nice time and get on with your life. So usually there's an element of, if I please this person, they won't mistreat me, and then I will be safe and happy and all will be well. So this can show up in so many different ways. It could be with a colleague, it could be at school with fellow pupils, it could be in a relationship, romantic or friendship, it could be with your parents or your siblings or your guardians. It can just show up literally anywhere. It can even show up in an interaction, you know, with a shop owner, for example. You might not want to say to them, I really disliked this product, or I really disliked this drink I just had, because you don't want to upset them, and then you don't want them to think that you're a bad person, and then you won't be accepted if you're a bad person. Like, there's just this whole tumble of thoughts that can go on with people pleasing. So if you are a people pleaser, it's so likely that you're going to know what I'm talking about, and you'll be thinking, yep, I've done that, yep, I've done this. So I've been there too. We all have, if we're trying to be accepted and liked and respected and not have any mistreatment towards us. So this can stem from being bullied. You know, maybe you were bullied when you were younger or picked on, whether that was within your family unit. Maybe you had an abusive relationship with one of your parents or your siblings, and that can be emotionally abusive or mentally abusive or physically abusive. Or maybe it was other people at school picked on you because you were different to them, so you tried to please them by fitting in or what have you so that they would like you and stop picking on you. Or it could just be that you like keeping the peace, you like things to be really calm, and you don't like chaos, so you want to please people so that bad things don't happen and you don't end up in this space of negativity and chaos. So there can be so many different roots and reasons for it. So I would definitely recommend really thinking about where it stems from you. Does it stem from something in your childhood? Does it stem from something in your older years? What exactly is your limiting belief around it? If you do not please people, what do you think or believe will happen? And that's really important, actually, to journal around your beliefs around people pleasing and how that can actually serve you. I know from a Libran perspective that it can quite often be centered around feeling as though the more you kind of learn about people and connect with them and please them, the more you can be the social butterfly and connect with people and get the deep loving relationships that you want and still have the social element, because Librans are obviously about having quite deep contracts with other people. You know, they like quite strong soulmate connections, but at the same time they can be a social butterfly. You know, they're quite flirty and like to kind of enjoy themselves in a social setting. So sometimes it can just be that they're pleasing other people because they've learnt what the other person enjoys, and therefore they can kind of utilize that, not in a manipulative way, just in an adaptable way to connect with that person. Especially if you're working like in a shop or something, you know, or a restaurant, it's really helpful to be able to speak to clientele in different ways, because so many different people will enter that shop or that restaurant. So that can be a useful skill to have. But I would really recommend taking time to think, what is serving me from people pleasing? How am I helping myself? Am I helping myself? How am I helping the other person? Is this centered around being accepted or staying away from being bullied or picked on? Like, what is the actual root of it? So that's really going to be helpful for you to overcome people pleasing. Okay, so tip number 1 is you can do everything in your power. You can change the way you look, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way that you act, the music that you listen to. You can change every single thing about yourself, and people may still pick on you and bully you and criticize you and hate you, for want of a better word. You're not doing anything wrong, but even if you try to be somebody different, even if you try to please other people, chances are you probably won't, because you can't please everybody. That's the most important thing to recognize and remember. But also, even if you try to become what you think they want you to be so that they back off bullying you, or so that you fit in and you feel more accepted, it's probably not going to happen, and it's just going to lead to you feeling rubbish, quite frankly. You're just going to lose yourself in the depths of trying to be somebody else. It's going to lead to you being really miserable. It could even lead to depression and anxiety and panic attacks, because you're so disassociated with who you truly are. So trying to remember that actually nothing good ever comes from people pleasing if you're taking it to that extreme. You know, if it's something really simple like, oh, I won't tell my mother-in-law that I hate the gift she gave me for Christmas, because that would just cause a rift. If it's something simple, then I can understand the motives and the reasons behind it. But if you do that every single year, then that is leading to a destructive pattern with people pleasing. So noticing, is it just a one-off, or is it a pattern that I have created as a form of protection and acceptance to shield myself from bullying, or whatever it may be for you? I'm just going to say bullying because that's the experience I had, but your experience may be different. So recognizing you can do whatever you want to change, and they still may pick on you and bully you. And I can speak from experience with that. I very much tried people pleasing because I didn't fit in. I just felt like I didn't belong to any friendship group, really. You know, like, I obviously wasn't an intelligent, nerdy person. I wasn't a sporty person, and I wasn't cool in any way, shape or form at school, so I didn't really fit into any camp, shall we say. And I had loads of different types of friends, and I had kind of, I think, 3 or 4 main friendship groups I would hang out with at secondary school specifically, and I just really didn't fit in or belong to any of them. And as a result, I found myself trying to mold myself to be more like the people I was friends with, in an attempt to actually fit in and belong, and for them to like me. I really wanted them to like me and accept me, because I had just been picked on and bullied so much. I was just like, okay, if I look and sound and act like them, surely they'll just leave me alone and we'll all be okay and everything will be fine. But that didn't happen. I still got picked on, and if anything, I just felt more isolated and left out, because it was just more obvious that I was different and I was trying to be something I wasn't. In a way, you kind of stick out like a sore thumb if you're trying to be something else, because it's not authentic. And inauthenticity is just really obvious. It's like flashing sirens, like, meh, meh, meh. That's not really a siren, is it? But whatever, you get the point. Like, it's more obvious, and therefore they're more likely to pick on you, because they're like, oh, look at that person, she doesn't feel good about herself, or he doesn't feel good about himself, or they don't feel good about themselves. They kind of pick on you more, because they're like, great, your self-esteem is so low, I can pick on you more, because then I'm going to get the results I want, which is making you feel really bad. So be really aware of that, be really mindful of that. Actually, am I just making myself more open to being picked on and bullying because my self-esteem, my confidence is so low, because I'm trying to fit in with other people and people please? So that's tip 1, is recognize that it doesn't matter whatever you do to change yourself. If you are trying to people please, then you will always have some kind of negative impact on yourself and your own life if you're trying to mold and change yourself. Take it from my experience, it really doesn't work, and I really recommend actually connecting to who you are. And that is tip 2, which is self-love. This is really important. If you've realized from tip 1, actually it really isn't serving me to try and mold myself for these people to like me so I fit in and I people please, then sticking with tip 2, which is self-love, will be the best antidote to that. So that's going to be a journey. Obviously, the longer time that you've spent people pleasing, the longer time you may find you put into your self-love journey. And self-love is a lifetime's journey. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. You know, it's not something that you can just click your fingers and overnight you love yourself, because you're coming from a space of loving yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So you've got a lot of elements to take into account and work with. So just finding little things that you enjoy. So if you are completely unsure of what self-love is, or if you don't know where to start, I have a whole video on a beginner's guide to self-love, which I will link in the description box, and you can enjoy that and start your own self-love journey. I would say connecting to yourself authentically and finding what you like, what you enjoy, how you would like to express yourself, whether that's a physical expression, you know, how you like to dress, or whether that's verbally. It's important that you find these things. So I actually got picked on when I was about 10. It was just before I started secondary school, and I went to my friend's 10th birthday party, and she had several of her other friends from her horse riding group there, and I'd never met them before, and one of them just clearly decided that she didn't like me for whatever reason. It doesn't even matter what the reason is. What matters is how I responded. I had been shopping with my mom that morning, and my mom had bought me this cute top and these flared trousers in the sale, because I was an 80s baby, but by this point it was the 90s. So yes, I was wearing flares in the 90s, and yes, they were turquoise tie-dye, and yes, they were really cute. But anyway, I was wearing them for my friend's party, and this particular girl just decided she didn't like me, and she cornered me by the front door, and she said, "You're posh, I don't like you, you're a snob." And I was like, what? But I'm from a single parent household. There's no snobbery or posh or richness here. Like, I just have been brought up to speak correctly, and she just didn't like that. So she threw her whole pint of lemonade over me. And it really upset me, because firstly I was wearing brand new clothes, and I knew how hard my mum had saved to buy me those clothes. And secondly, I was obviously just covered, like lemonade is so sticky. And I had to spend the rest of my party in my friend's clothes, and obviously because she was the birthday girl, she did not want to be outdone, so she gave me like her worst t-shirt and trousers to wear. Not that it really matters at 10, like to a Libran who's fashion conscious, it matters, but really, what do you really need to worry about fashion for at 10? Like, honestly, wait until you're older and then you can really assert yourself. But anyway, that limiting belief stuck with me, and I thought, okay, in order to please other people and in order to be accepted and liked, I can't speak the way that I do. So I started dulling how I spoke, and, you know, saying like and saying, you know, and swearing. I started just really changing how I spoke so that I could be accepted. And years later, when I told this girl that she'd done this to me, she said, "Oh, I don't remember." So that's just one really small example of how something in my childhood led to me having A, created a limiting belief, and B, deciding that I needed to people please and change how I was so that people could accept me and like me and not pick on me, and then I wouldn't have drinks thrown in my face. See, this is why self-love is just so important. Okay, so tip number 3 is EFT. So I just want to start this tip by saying, firstly, I am not a certified EFT practitioner. I have, however, taken 3 separate courses where EFT has been a module and been included and been taught in the basics. So I can share this with you from a friend-to-friend space, but I would not call myself an EFT therapist or practitioner. If you do want to connect with an EFT practitioner, I happen to know quite a few. I can definitely send you their details. Just email me. I'll put my email in the description box, and then you can get in contact with them if you'd like to work with this. I find EFT really helpful. It really resonates for me and it really works. For some people it doesn't so much. It just depends on how you react, how your body reacts to things. So definitely give this a try. With EFT, it's always recommended that you start with this scale of 0 to 10. So 0 being it's not a problem at all, and 10 being it's quite a big problem. Before starting any kind of EFT, it's always good to be very hydrated and to keep a glass of water near you, because quite honestly, it's good to hydrate and keep that flushing through the system. And secondly, it's important to take time to do it properly. Don't rush it. And you're basically looking to go from the high number down to 0, 1, 2 max with what it is that's bothering you. So before you start, you would close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in, and just think about the issue and think, okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, how is this affecting me? Okay, it's affecting me at 9. So then you would start the process, and you always tap on the karate chop point, which is just on the side of the hand, and you tap. I just use the tips on my nails because they're quite long, but you can obviously use your fingers. You're not looking to cause any bruises here. It's just light enough tapping that you can feel it, but you're not going to hurt yourself. So we'd start with this statement: even though I am a people pleaser, I still deeply and completely love and accept myself. And you say this 3 times. Even though I am a people pleaser, I still deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I am a people pleaser, I still deeply and completely love and accept myself. Then you tap on the top of the head and just repeat after me. I can't help but people please. I feel like I need to please people to be accepted. Then you tap just above the eyebrows. I feel as though if I don't people please, I won't be accepted or liked. And then on the side of the eye, and that might lead to me being bullied or picked on. I may even be criticised if I don't people please. Then just underneath the eyes on the cheekbones. And if I get bullied and picked on, that's going to lead to me feeling really rubbish. I just won't feel liked or accepted. And then under the nose, and not being accepted just makes me feel really bad. I just feel like no one loves me or cares about me. And I don't have any friends. And then under the chin, sometimes I people please and I don't even realise I'm doing it. It just happens naturally. And then on the collarbones. And when that happens, I find myself feeling really disappointed in myself because I haven't stayed true to myself. And then under that armpit, just by your ribs. And if I'm not true to myself, then I'm not loving myself or respecting myself. And if I'm not respecting or loving myself, then why should anybody else love and respect me? And then tapping on the breastbone. And that just leads to me feeling really low and really rubbish about life. What's the point if nobody cares? What's the point if nobody accepts me for who I am? I just feel really low. So it makes sense to people please. And then just tapping at the bottom of the ribs, but you can't really see that. So it's just easier to people please. Life is easier if I people please because that way there's no disruption or bullying or being criticised. And then on the wrists, some people tap like that, but I like to tap the wrists together. So it's important that I people please because that leads to me feeling safe and secure, and therefore I won't be bullied. I just find that I feel so much safer if I please other people than if I please myself. It's so much easier to please other people. There's no pressure for me to please myself. My wants and needs don't matter. It just matters that I please other people. And then that way I won't be treated badly. And I won't feel low and depressed and anxious. So I think people pleasing has served me. Why would I want to let that go? It's easier to just make sure other people are happy. And then I don't get picked on or bullied. And if I don't get picked on or bullied, life is just so much easier. And when life is easier, I feel like I can relax. So it's easier to pretend that I'm someone else and to please other people. It's so much easier to people please. It just leads to my life being so much easier, calmer, less stressful. And I don't want any stress in my life. I don't want to be picked on or bullied. I just want everyone to get on and everyone to be happy. So I people please because it makes life easier, even if it does mean I forget about myself. But when I forget about myself and I'm not true to myself, that makes me feel really rubbish. It actually makes me feel really low. I care more about other people than I do myself. I don't even care about myself at all. I just care that other people like me and accept me, and that I keep the peace. It's much easier than being picked on or bullied. It saves a lot of heartache and trouble. Life's just easier when I people please. But maybe it's time to let that go. Maybe it's time to focus on myself and pleasing myself. Maybe if I please myself and I'm more authentic, people will respect me and accept me. So maybe from today I'll try pleasing myself first, putting myself first, honouring my needs and desires, my likes and interests. And maybe then things will be harmonious inside. And I can let go of any inner conflict. Because finally, I'm loving myself and treating myself the way I deserve to be treated. Okay, just close your eyes for a second and take a deep breath in and just hold it for a moment. And just ask yourself now where you are on the scale of 0 to 10. Has the number stayed the same? Has it gone up? Has it gone down? What do you feel now if you think about people pleasing? And then open your eyes and remember to get some water to stay hydrated. Now, if the number has stayed the same, that's okay. If it's gone up, that's okay. Just keep repeating the process until it does come down to around 1 to 2 would be the ideal number. So you might only need to do that script twice, or you might find that you need to do it 3 or 4 times or more. It's completely okay. Just trust that however many times you need to do that is however many times it needs to work for you. There is no limit with this. With EFT, it's not like, oh, you need to go 10, then 5, then 0, otherwise you've got this wrong. So it's completely okay, and it's absolutely fine if you want to change some of the language. In my script, I'm purposefully not swearing. You may wish to swear, or you may find that as you're tapping, and sometimes this does happen, and you always start with a karate chop point, but you might find as you're tapping that you think, actually, wait a minute, I feel really bothered about this instead actually, or this is the reason why. So it could be, even though I was really badly bullied, and this led to me people pleasing, I still deeply and completely love and accept myself. That could be the starting point that you have. So I've just given you an example there. Definitely try it out, see how it works for you. And again, I really recommend EFT. And if you're interested, I will definitely be happy to share with you some people I know who teach it and who are practitioners and run sessions with it. So you can just let me know. And if you have another system that you prefer to use, again, trust that, go with that, follow what feels right for you. The whole point of this video is that you are pleasing yourself, not in an egotistical, selfish way, in a looking after yourself and loving yourself so that you can be more authentic and happier and fulfill your life purpose and your dreams. Don't just try this because it might please me to hear that you have tried it. Try it because it feels good to try it and it feels aligned, and if it works for you, fantastic. If it doesn't, that's okay. There'll be something else out of these other tips that I've shared that you may find useful, or you might find your own thing along the way. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that some of the tips will be useful for you. Do let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this and to subscribe so that you never miss a video, and I will see you in next week's video.